What's going on, guys? Aiden Smith, Paint Pro Coaching, and in this video we're going to be talking about a little bit of a situation that I got going on with the painting business and how I'm going about it, my thought process, just so if you guys ever run into anything similar, you guys know how to deal with it. So before I get into it though, make sure you guys like the video so it lets me know that it is resonating with people and that I'm actually helping people while making these videos. And secondly, make sure you subscribe so when we're coming out with new content, new strategies, new tips for you to grow your painting business, you guys are in the loop. So if you guys have been watching me up to this point, following me in any way, you know that I'm a pretty open book. I'll tell you where I'm at, how things are going, what's working, what's not, what I'm doing with other painting businesses that has, really hit and made an impact. So in this particular situation, we are dealing with a client that is withholding pay. And you go through this as a business owner. It happens. Not every job goes perfect. This job actually did go pretty good. They're probably going to leave us still a 5-star review because the work is fine, but it's a little bit of a change order dilemma. So I'll be the first one to tell you that you need processes in your business. Like a lot of times when our guys come to us with problems, hey, this happened in my business, hey, this happened with the client, I usually say, well, what process did you have for them to follow or for yourself to follow, right? And it's like, all right, if you're not collecting deposits and somebody withholds pay on the back end, you kind of shot yourself in the foot, right? Or if a customer wants to add on something, but you didn't do a change order and now they're questioning the price, you kind of shot yourself in the foot. So in this situation, we definitely could have been better with our processes and stuck to them a little bit more firm, but I'll give you kind of the scenario. So we had a job with a client and it was actually a referral, and we paid the guy who referred this client to us with a referral, $150 Amazon gift card, which has been working really good. So you guys can use that to get more jobs through referrals. So got past the job, landed it, and everything was going really well. There's two kind of problems off the gate, right? So number one, the guy didn't speak the best English, and my guys, they know Spanish, so it's no problem. So I had to kind of use my main supervisor as a little bit of a translator, right? So we're going through things, and as you can see, this is already a red flag, right? Kind of whisper down the lane. So in this case, I tried to let my guy handle everything, because if it's going to be, a Spanish-speaking client, I can't really communicate, right? I know a few words, but not enough to really communicate. So there's that. And we go through, get the job, everything's going great, and then we start doing the color consultation, and he goes, yep, that's the color I want. Boom, they agree on it. Great. So we got the color, got the job, we're started. We're off to the races, everything's going well. And as we're putting on the paint, we finished like 3 sides of the house, and he goes, I don't like the color. So, okay, this happens, right? No problem. And process me, and shout out to Fairlife Protein. This is like my go-to, right? I should sponsor these videos. Anyway, we go into the job, and he's like, hey, I don't like the color. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. This happens for sure. And I said, here's what we're going to do. And I'm telling my guy, and I say, hey, this is a referral. He's been awesome so far, signed up, like no qualms whatsoever, right? Besides, the things that I described. What we're going to do is not charge him for the labor. We're going to be nice, right? For changing, and just get the tab on the paint. So it was $500 extra. It was 10 gallons, Sherwin-Williams. And I'm under the impression he gives us the thumbs up. And he's a little bit of an older guy, so he's not like a tech savvy person. So like, I didn't feel the need to send a change order, have him go through my CRM, accept it. I felt like that would just be a little much for like an older guy to do. So Oscar, my guy's like, hey, no problem. He said, yes, thumbs up, we're proceeding. Great. So I get to the very end, and like I said, I don't go and collect checks or anything like that. And the guy's like, I'm not paying $500 extra for the paint. And we're just like, oh my goodness. So now I'm on the phone with him, trying to kind of 3-way call, translate, and saying, hey, like we explained this to you. And he's like, no, I didn't understand it in that way. So you guys can get how this happens. And this is probably something that happened to you as well. So he puts his foot in the ground. He says, I'm not paying. It is what it is. And I could have just said, you know what, I'll eat the $500, but I didn't feel that that was following our values as a company, right? Because one of my values is teamwork. We need certain things from the client in order to do our job, right? We need you to say yes on the color consultation, right? To pick a color. We need you to give us the deposit so we can start, right? Getting some of the supplies and all that kind of stuff. We don't ask for a lot. It's only enough to cover those initial expenses. We need you to remove delicates, right? Take down any, trinkets or anything you have on the house that may be something that we could break if we moved it. So those are the things I need them to do. So in this case, he said yes to the color consultation. We were fair, went through the whole thing for free. We painted it and said, hey, I'm going to be a good steward. I'm going to say, hey, no worries. We'll take the labor. All I need you to get the paint. I didn't think that was a unreasonable thing to ask for. And that is practicing teamwork, in my opinion. And for him to shut it off completely, not have any like, hey, I'm willing to work with you guys or whatever, I didn't feel that was aligned with our values, right? putting my foot in the ground, and I'm also saying that we went above and beyond for your job, because there are certain things that popped up as we were going that we didn't see, but that I didn't charge you for because you were so easy as a client. Wood rod on the front door, bondoed it out, scraped it out, all that kind of stuff. The floor had a little bit of a custom design, no problem. So we went above and beyond. We helped you out, and then for you to just shut it out completely and not even be willing to work with us, that doesn't vibe with me correctly. So now I'm on my way out there now with my supervisor, and we're really going to break down all the things that I'm explaining to you guys. And with that being said, we kind of have three different scenarios that are going to be playing out. And this is where hey, if this does happen in my business, how do I solve it? And I'll give you the three options I have. First option is I show up, I explain everything like I'm explaining right now, and he understands it, and he's a good guy, and he says, look, no problem, I'm going to hand you the check. I would say likelihood of that is like 60%, right? After we kind of like go face to face with him. I think in person, you figure a lot of stuff out. I would say there's a 39% chance that maybe we cut the difference and we say, look, at this point, it's just a little bit excessive for me to come out here. How about this? Instead of the full 500 for the extra, let's do 250. We both kind of eat it up. Boom. I don't necessarily want to do that, but worst case, if he's still not like going, it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and split it. Last scenario is, because there's a 0% chance I'm just eating the 500. Last chance scenario, I put a lien on his house, right? Because we still have, aside from the 500, the outstanding balance of the rest of the job. So I think there's a 1% chance I do that, right? I'm not going there with that option on the table. But the reality is there are clients where it gets to that point. Maybe because they don't have the funds, they're that stubborn, or they just love the drama, and I'm with the drama. So it is what it is. But I don't think that's going to happen. Like I said, he was referred. I don't think there's going to be any hotheads, at all. I think it's going to be a nice, clean transaction, and I'll keep you posted on how it goes, right? I'm heading there right now, be there in 15 minutes. So I'll end it there for now, and then we'll jump back in once we get everything squared away. All right, guys, so here is the update on the situation. Good news is we got the payment, right? So we got the payment. The bad news is it wasn't what I wanted. So here's what happened. There was a little bit of a whisper down the lane that happened, and my guy explained that they wouldn't be charged for the labor, but they would be charged for the paint. And there was no $500 said, right? So he didn't know the amount. So when he got hit with the 500, he was like, I'm not paying 500. And we got to a point where I was like, well, we said pay for the paint. And he was like, yeah, I thought it was gonna be like a gallon or two. I didn't know it was gonna be $500 worth of paint. And I said, you know what? I was kind of like over it at that point, because I'm not going back and forth with this guy. I said, look, don't worry about it. I said, send me what you owe, right? The original before the 500. I was just like, we're gonna move on. I'm wasting my time even coming out here. And that's what we did. So not the ending that I wanted, right? But at the end of the day, the bigger, idea behind all this is you have to follow your processes. If I had to do it again, I would have made that guy sign a change order in writing, or put somewhere in writing. I would have made sure everything was in writing. I don't care what he said, because it was he said, she said at that point, right? So everything you do when it comes to your processes has to go through that process, or you risk being shot in the foot like I just did right here. So the cool thing is I'm open about this kind of stuff. I'll tell you when I take L's. I'll tell you when things are going really well. And in this instance, I thought you guys could use this as like a learning experience, because I know there's people that go through similar stuff. It sucks, it is what it is. We'll never be working for that guy again. But hey, at the end of the day, we move on, we learn, we get better, we keep going. And it doesn't matter if you feel great about the client. It doesn't matter if they seem amazing. Go through your process, stick with your process, so you can avoid stuff like this. Appreciate you guys watching, and on to the next one.